Hi everyone and welcome to Astar's Place. I've been asked by numerous of you flower lovers out there what to do with Singapore orchids. Well, I think I've got you covered. Have a look at this. I call this my little caged floral arrangement. I love that the orchids are enclosed in a cage. It's really easy to make. I'll be back in a few minutes with all the materials and show you how to put it together. So these are the materials I've selected, but let's look at the container. I really love this container. It's got that lovely white ceramic bit down there. It's a bit dirty, but never mind, you won't see that hopefully when I'm finished. And I really love this plaited woven bit around the edge there, which is going to be perfect with this gorgeous willow. I'm into willow at the moment. I've got some lovely Pieris, I've got some moss, I've also got some lovely succulents, I've got the beautiful, beautiful white Singapore orchids. And when I look at these, they look like little cages, little birds, which are going to be encapsulated into the cage, which I really like, a little quirkiness. Now I've also got some Abutilon here. I absolutely love these. When I was a young girl doing my training, we used to use a lot of these, and although they're a little bit sticky, they're such a beautiful little flower, and I really want in my crusade forward, that is to bring as many of the old flowers back. And the great thing is bumblebees absolutely love these, and I didn't know until I was doing my research that bumblebees fly to the frequency of yellow. Who would have known? But who did the study? I've got to get to the bottom of that. So even though it's an underrated little flower, it's also a beautiful flower to use. Now I've got the moss here. You could use moss, or if you had access to, this is Alyssum. I absolutely love this. It is gorgeous to work with. Beautiful, beautiful smell. I really wanted to use some Gypsophila, but it wasn't available at the moment. So I thought, oh, I'll see what the Alyssum looks like. The only trouble with picking this stuff and using it, I picked that last night and conditioned it. Well, I thought I'd conditioned it. But see how it's got a little bit of a droop on? If it ever gets like that, and if you are in doubt, the way forward is to leave it out. But what you could do is if you could get a bedding plant or a little pot that's actually got it growing in it, you could actually use that as your medium instead of using the foam like I've got in here. So I know that that's best left alone, so that's what I will do. But I sort of thought that, you know, even the bedding plant of that in there and all sort of like falling over the sides would have been just gorgeous. However, let's not even use it. So what we are going to then be forced to use is a little bit of moss. So what I'm going to do with that is I'll just put that into a little mound into there like so, and I'll just use a piece of wire and I'll just push that down into position just like hair clips would be used. Right, with the willow, what I want to do is to create a lovely little cage. So what I'm going to do is, working from the outside around, crikey, that nearly got my eye. I just want to put this into, using 4 points of my foam around my container. So I've got a big bit there, and these bits sort of kind of need to be about the same size. And right, so from there to there to there, and then push that into there. I love this design. I can remember years and years and years ago being, one of my friends was a pilot and he brought me back a whole box of Singapore orchids, and I looked at them and thought, what on earth am I going to do with these? Because they just sort of didn't go very well in a vase on their own. So I had some twisted willow, and this is how this design actually all came to be. So just bunch those up. Now you don't have to don't worry about them going all over the place. Oh, now if you've got a wee broken bit like that, I'm just going to cut that down to there, because now the reason I did that is sometimes you can have, the foam can be very good to you. It will let you take things in and out, but it gets to a point where the hole gets so big that the whole thing disintegrates. So just be thinking about that when you're taking things in and out. And if it's easier to just cut it, then just to cut it. Now the other thing that I'm really loving as I'm looking at this now is, with the willow down the base and with the woven raffia down the bottom here, it's all sort of like connecting with the texture. So you've got the smooth here, and the willow here has got a lovely luster to it. So you've got, and if you're ever in doubt and not sure how to go forward, just get complements, you know, the same colorway, have one dull and then have one with a sheen on it. Right, from there, the next thing I want to do is to just put a little bit of Pieris down into the base there. Now I'm not going to the outside, I'm actually going to the inside this time. Now don't worry about these being the same size, because it actually won't matter. as we go forward, move forward from here. Now make sure that that goes right down and into there. Now that's moving the wrong way, and I'm not sure why, and I've just seen why. That's a blunt cut. You need to put a little bit of a point on there, and it's like a dart. Once that goes in, you see? When it goes in, and it's fantastic. Right, the next thing I'm going to put in are the Singapore orchids. Now see these little wee filey things? Just keep those, they are great. Now, when these are flowering, you'll know sometimes it will be the base flowers that will die first. I want the flowers to actually start, when they're inserted into the foam, I want the flowers to just look like they're actually emerging from the foam. So pushing that down into there like that. Now don't worry that these are splaying out in that direction, that will not matter. So check those little bottom flowers, any damaged ones, just pull those off. Take that into there. And the other reason why I'm using these is, there's a couple of damaged ones. I'm using these is because, putting them in now, is because I've got my structure, and of the two flowers that I'm going to be using, the Singapore orchids are actually not as dainty to use. They're a little bit more robust than using the Abutilon. So if you are thinking, now what could I put into my garden that would be beautiful and oldie-worldy, start with the Abutilons. And the great thing is that here in New Zealand, they flower for months and months. In fact, this has been the only thing that's been growing in my garden for months. Now, what I want to make 2 out of that, or in fact, I might make 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into there like this, cut those in there, and then I just want those to actually go further into my design. Now I've only got 3, so when I've placed those, I put those like a triangle with equal distance between each of my placements, thereabouts. Don't knock yourself around. Right, the next thing to do is to get this here like this, and what I want to do is use one of these little wraps here of the willow, and wrap that around, and I'll use a little bit of wire at this stage to just keep those all together. Now the other thing with this willow is it's actually it's full of sap, so I can move it and manipulate it. Now just bending that around there like so, you'd be best to use a brown covered wire at this stage, or you could use a bit of raffia. So see what's happened, I've just brought all of those forms in. I'm not worrying about those bits at this stage, they are okay. Now to use the Abutilons, as I said, these are little delicate flowers, so be careful how you place those into there. Now any of these little leaves that are starting to sort of like wilter, if they've got any marks off them, take them off. And the other great thing that I love about the Abutilons is, this here will last in water for ages and ages, because as they come off, those little ones there will burst into flower. So it's nice to know that from one flower you can just keep going and add lots and lots, that'll just keep producing for you. See? These little flowers are often, people just walk past them and never give them the second look, but look at that. So these are all being placed all around the edges, but ups and downs and ins and outs, because we've got this lovely structure here, which is what I would call an informal it's an informal design. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually have placed those into there. You'll now know that I've got an issue because I should have put those in first, but I think that with what I've got here, there's enough happening. As the orchids die off, just from the base, as I said, just pick those off and just leave it so that it just ends up with flowers around here, and then you could perhaps put other flowers around the outside. I also like to use this type of design for using beautiful spring bulbs, and you plant those just as they're starting to come up, but I'll show you how to do that another day. I hope I have been of assistance. The other thing, before I go, if you wanted to take this to another level, I've got this lovely Lycopodium. It was sitting there watching me and I didn't even look at it, but look what happens when you put this in. It's beautiful stuff. I love this. I'm not sure where this is a native to, but it is such a nice form to work with. So I am going to put, now that's better. I was looking at it thinking, yeah, it's all right, Astar, but it's not really doing it for me. But now it is, with this little bit, these little bits of foliage, a little bit into there, and I'm just going to put one more bit into there. But as I said, make sure that put your strongest flowers in first, and then finish off with your dainty flowers. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope I cover the questions for those who have asked. See you again another day.